What is up, my fellow Ojamans? CryptJ1958 coming back with another deck profile. So if you watch my channel for a while, you know I like rogue decks, anti-meta decks, pretty much anything that's fairly budget friendly and makes those guys that spend $1,200 on their extra deck kind of upset when you beat them. So this is going to be another anti-meta deck. It's one that I've wanted to make for a while, but a lot of the cards were pretty hard to find. But then Maximum Gold reprinted a bunch of them. So there's only like a couple kind of expensive cards, and they max out at about $20 a piece, so it's not too bad. But let's get right into it. So we're going to start out. We got 2 Inspector Borders. If you don't know what this does, if it's on the field, you don't get any monster effects, unless you have a Fusion or an Xyz or a Synchro Link, and you only get 1 effect. So if you have 2 links, you still only get 1 monster effect, but if you have a Link and an Xyz, then you get 2. That's kind of how it works. So you can have up to, I think, 4 different monster effects per turn, just based on the effect. The real big part is we're running barrier statues. So we got 2 water, 2 earth, we got 1 light and 1 dark. These 2, the light and the dark, are interchangeable depending on the meta. Right now there's kind of a lot of dark decks in the meta. So you could switch out the dark for one of the fire or one of the wind, or switch out the light depending on the meta. But usually we don't have a water or an earth in the meta, and if we do, you can just switch those out for whichever one we don't currently deal with. Then we have 3 ash. Look at those gold feet, and 3 Veiler. These kind of contradict with Inspector Border because your opponent has to have something on the field for you to be able to use these. But if they expend resources getting stuff onto the field and they go to use their 1 effect and you Veiler or Ash them, then they're basically stuck. So it still works, it just takes a little bit more setup. But that is the monster lineup for our spells. We got 3 Extravagance. We're basically stopping all special summons, so we don't need our extra deck, so it just lets us dig deeper. And then we have 3 Pot of Duality. Now, Extravagance and Duality work really well together, because Extravagance says you just can't draw for the rest of your turn, but Duality doesn't draw, it adds. So it's kind of a nice workaround. You can actually open your turn with Extravagance, draw 2 cards, then play Duality, reveal 3, add 1, and you effectively go +1. So those are our draw cards. So we're running 3 Demise of the Land and 1 Summon Breaker. Demise of the Land just gets Summon Breaker out of the deck on our opponent's turn. And Summon Breaker, the way it works is after the turn player makes their 3rd summon for the turn, it immediately goes to the end phase. And it's like Summon Limit, where it remembers what has been done. So if they do, like if their 3rd summon is a special summon, you flip over Demise of the Land, put out Summon Breaker, it ends their turn right there. It's really nice. We're only running 1 because it doesn't matter if we see it in our opening hand, we can just activate it, or we can use it to disrupt our opponent. To keep our barrier statues alive, we got 3 Moonmirror Shield and 2 Mage Power. Moonmirror Shield basically makes it so they can't attack over it. Most decks, if you bring out a barrier statue and they're running an attribute that is not the same type, then they're usually going to try to normal summon and then beat over your barrier statue. And this basically makes it so they can't do that. So anytime Moonmirror Shield is equipped, if your opponent attacks where you attack, the attack of your monster goes up to whatever your opponent's monster's highest is. If their defense is higher, then it'll go up to their defense or their attack plus 100. So if you're attacking into a monster that has 2,000 defense and 1,500 attack, you're going to go up to 2,100 attack. And then Mage Power just gives your monster 500 for each spell or trap card you have on the field. Last card is Harpy Feather Duster, just to get rid of those back row. And then because we're scared of Lightning Storm and basically normal summons, we're going to run 3 Judgment. Pretty self-explanatory. We're just going to say no to our opponent. Another kind of cheeky play is we have Phantom Knight's Sword. This gives 800 attack to the monster it's equipped to, and then if that monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. So if you bring out a barrier statue with Moonmirror Shield and set one of these, and they go to Lightning Storm, you flip this over, attach it to your monster. This resolves first, then Lightning Storm goes to attempt to pop it. You send this to the graveyard instead, and you get to keep your barrier statue. Plus, it can help you push for game. Then more back row hate, Heavy Storm Duster. This can be switched out for any of the other Solemns. You can also switch it out for maybe like 2 Uka, the Gizmek, just because we are running the Water Barrier statue. So if you're playing against a combo deck that needs Needle Fiber, then you have the Uka in your hand. They play Needle Fiber. Needle Fiber brings out the tuner. You drop Uka, target Needle Fiber, bring out the Water Barrier statue, and their play there. And then the last card, which is basically an auto win against some decks, is there can be only one. So we're trying to restrict our opponent as much as we can so they can't basically break our board. Our board is usually going to be 1 or 2 monsters, and we're just going to force them to play a slower game, and we're just going to keep beating over them with like Inspector Boarder or a couple of the barrier statues. And that is the main deck. For the extra deck, I really just went in Phantom Rage and just grabbed any of the extra deck monsters that I pulled until I had 15. Like I said, we're stopping any special summons, so we don't need a real extra deck. If you really wanted to min-max, you could put in a bunch of rank 4s, because if you have Inspector Boarder and one of your barrier statues, as long as you're going into a monster with the same attribute as the barrier statue, you can special summon. So you can put in like Bahamut Shark and a Toad to get extra negation. You could get Cowboy, if you need to push for game. Really any of the rank 4s that are Dark, Earth, Light, or Water, you can use that as a toolbox as well. That's a little bit more money than I usually like to put into it, so you don't have to do that, but if you really wanted to min-max, you can do that. I don't actually have an extra deck for this yet, but the idea behind it is going to be the same. You could side Ukas, that Moon Hand Trap, whose name I can never remember. When a monster is special summoned, send it to the graveyard, negate that monster's effect. You can do that. Token Collector, Evenly Matched, Dark Ruler No More. Pretty much anything that will allow you to go second and still do your plays, because this is primarily going first. But this is my anti-meta barrier statue deck. Let me know what you guys think. Remember to like, subscribe, and we'll see you later.